This is section 7, or part 7, sorry, of section R.8 on nth roots and radical exponents, or rational exponents and radical expressions. So we are going to review the laws of exponents now and then work a couple of examples, and this will conclude section R.8. Okay, let's quickly review. We've been using a lot of these laws already, but we need to review them to be sure we have this, because we'll be using these entire semester, so we definitely need to know these. So if we have a to the mth power times a to the nth power, where a and b are real numbers, m and n are integers, then we have a to the, what do we do with those two exponents? Correct, we add them, m plus n. We add those exponents. However, if we have a to the mth, we raise the exponent further to another exponent. Now what do we do with the m and the n? Multiply, yes, m times n. Okay, this one just shows us that if we have a product inside of parentheses, each factor in there gets this exponent. So if we wanted to expand this out, this would be a to the nth times b to the nth. Likewise, when we have this one, number 4, when we have a quotient with m and n on the top, what's the operation for this? A to the m minus n, correct. Which is also the same as 1 over a to the n minus m. So it kind of depends which one's bigger. With subtraction, it does matter the order. So if you get a negative, then it would be the same as this. As long as a is not equal to 0, of course, we cannot divide by 0. And now here we have a quotient raised to a power, so of course, that's a to the n over b to the n. Everything inside the parentheses gets the exponent, as long as b is not 0. All right, so let's simplify some rational exponents here. So as we just saw, every factor inside the parentheses gets raised to this power. So let's write this out. That would be 4 to the, 4 has a 1 on it, right? The exponent on 4 is 1, and 1 times a half is 1/2, times x to the 1 times a half is 1/2, times y to the, well, it's not 1 times, it's 2/3 times a half, so I'm going to write that out. And then here, these don't have an additional exponent, so we can just take the parentheses off and continue. This is all multiplication. So now we want to take the 4 to the 1/2 power. Let's remember what that means. The bottom is the index, square root, the top is the power. So that's all that means, the square root of 4. Anything raised to the 1/2 power means square root. Let's put our x's side by side so we can simplify them, because we know if they're side by side, we can simplify. Times x to the -3 times y to the, let's multiply these now. 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 2 over 6 simplifies to 1/3 times y. Okay, so square root of 4, of course, is 2. And now, what do we say we do with these? We add those exponents. Here's where your calculator can help you. If you have a fraction key on your calculator, you don't have to get a common denominator to use it. But we take 1/2 plus -3, and we get x to the -5/2. You should practice doing that with your calculator. Save you worries on your test. You'll be a champ by the time test day comes, and you can do it easily. All right, and then we have to add 1/3 and 1. 1 can be written as 3/3, so 1/3 and 3/3 is 4/3. Now I would be done, except we have to leave our final answer with no negative exponents. That's just a rule with exponents, as your final answer doesn't have that. So if we have a negative in the numerator, we move that one down to the denominator and the exponent becomes positive. Okay, so the 2 had an exponent of 1, it's positive. The 4/3 is positive. Whoops, that should be, yeah, 1/3 and, was it 1/3 or 2/3? Let me look back. I had 1/3 plus 3/3 would be 4/3. Okay, I think I've got that right. Why did the 4/3 over 5/2? Not sure why I'm thinking I had anything else than that. I think that's correct. Okay, let's look at this next one. Again, everything gets raised to the 1/2 this time. That one, we had a couple of factors that did not, but this time, everything. All right, so we have 25 to the 1 times 1/2, which is 1/2. X to the 4 times 1/2. Y to the 1/2 times 1/2. X to the 1/3 times 1/2. Y to the 1 times 1/2. I didn't have to write that, but I did that time. Okay, so let's simplify. 25 to the 1/2, we know that's the square root of 25. We know that's 5. And then we have x. 4 times 1/2, that's just 2. Y, 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. X to the 1/3 times 1/2 is 1/6. And y to the 1/2. Okay, now we have this situation, right? So we're going to do some subtraction with our fractions, with our fraction key on the calculator is the smartest way to do that. We have x, let me write that out, to the 2 minus 1/6 times y to the 1/4 minus 1/2. That's what I have to do. So 5, 2 minus 1/6 for the x is 11/6. And 1/4 minus 1/2 is negative 1/4. Again, we have a negative on one of our factors, so it has to change from numerator to denominator or denominator. Wherever it's negative, it goes the other place. It's negative in the numerator, so it's going to go down here to the denominator. And we are done.